All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again to Accessibility Hacking Live. It is March 20th, 2021. Hope everybody's having a great day. It is the evening time here on the East Coast. I hope you guys had a great day as well. Tonight, we are going to talk about some new legislation, some new developments that have been happening in the world of the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, and some new legislation that's been being talked about in Congress, and what's going on. So the ADA was established back in 2000, or actually 1990, by then President George Bush for giving accessibility standards to people with disabilities throughout brick and mortar businesses. Wheelchair access, parking access, and things like that. But since the World Wide Web came about, the whole horizon has changed. It's really all about doing business in the physical sense, but also the digital era. The digital online space has really changed the whole game for accessibility for people with disabilities. And so the creator of the World Wide Web, actually, Mr. Tim Berners-Lee, states the power of the web is in its universality. Access by everyone, regardless of disability, is an essential aspect. And that, ladies and gentlemen, right there sums it all up. We really need to make sure that the World Wide Web is accessible to everybody. And it's really surprising that over the years, it really has not gone that way and hasn't been designed in a way that every single website from the beginning was thought about in a way to give people with different abilities access to them. So, and disabilities really aren't just people that were born different, people with the inability to do, certain things. It comes with age. Our aging population is growing. I mean, right now, I have the stats right here. Right now in 2020, over 46 million Americans were over the age of 65. And with age comes change. As we get older, our dexterity changes, we are seeing changes, our hearing changes. We're able to do different things as we were when we were younger. And, by 2026, they're estimating this number is going to reach over 98 million Americans. So this is a huge population of internet users, because our population of over 65s, they know the internet. 25, 30 years ago, they were in their prime and they were introduced to the internet back then. So as they've gotten older, they've grown up with it now. Unlike, my parents who, they were in their 40s and 50s when the internet came about, and it wasn't really something that they grew up knowing, and they really had to learn it. But, the new generation of 65 and older folks, they know the internet and they grew up utilizing it. And as they get older, their abilities do change. And so it's really needs to be thought about in, it's a much larger population that many people give it credit. It's not just people that were born with or have disabilities because of, because of an accident or, different things. It's really people with that are over 65 and their lives are just changing. Things happen as we get older. Then there are also temporary disabilities. Somebody who may break their arm, in an accident, maybe a child falling off his bike and he needs to utilize the web to go to school, and he can't use a mouse properly for a period of time because he's got a cast or he can't move his arm. These are the types of, temporary disabilities that people face every single day. So your population that can utilize your website today may tomorrow need some help. They may need accessibility tools to be able to utilize your site, maybe a screen reader. Maybe they need to, maybe they hurt their eye and they can't see as well and they can only see out of one eye because they have a patch on. These are the things that you have to really keep in the back of your mind, that disabilities are not just a small population of people out there that you're missing. It really is a huge part of your everyday client that you really want to be able to make sure that you can cater to. Because if one day you're accessible to them and the next day you're not, then if they can't utilize your website tomorrow, then they're not going to come, and these are the people that you really want to make sure that you are making sure they can use their website along with the people who are able-bodied people to be able to use it the way it is. So some of the new legislation, some of the things that have been happening in 2020, Congressman Ted Budd and Lou Carrera, they introduced the Online Accessibility Act. And this is a newer act to go along with the ADA to really focus in on what's been happening in the courts and all these lawsuits for the ADA in accordance to websites and everything that's been going on for the past couple of years with the rise in lawsuits against businesses with websites that aren't accessible. They wanted to do something about it and really make a law that is governed especially for that, because right now it's really a gray area. It really depends on past court cases and precedents that the judge who's overseeing, maybe your court case decides, yes, you are liable for this lawsuit and you have to pay fines. And even if you are served a letter and you go to court and you're found that you have 90 days or whatever they give you to fix your website without having to pay the fines, you still have to pay the legal fees and the court costs and things like that. So there's still a huge burden on businesses that don't have web accessibility if they do receive a letter. And with over 11,000 lawsuits filed in 2020, the number has been growing exponentially each and every year, because in 2019 there were about 3,500, which still was a large number compared to the prior year. So 2021 is really the year that we really need to get the word out there and make sure that every business understands that web accessibility is a thing, first of all, and it's not an option, really. It is something that you really need to do. So what happened with this Online Accessibility Act? Well, according to my notes here, the act aimed to bring uniformity to the Title III online accessibility compliance guidelines, which are part of the ADA, and reduce the amount of online accessibility lawsuits. So they really wanted to go and say, this is crazy. There are a huge number of lawsuits that are being sprayed out in the internet. There are a lot of attorneys that focus on just doing this and taking on cases to go after businesses to make a point or to make money for themselves as attorneys, and to if they do get fines imposed on these businesses, then this money goes back to the ADA. It does not go back to the plaintiff. So somebody who sues on behalf of the ADA for an ADA violation, they do not receive any benefit from it other than winning the lawsuit in as a precedent for the ADA. Any fines and things go back to the ADA for whatever the ADA does and to fund them. So it's not like these people with disabilities are filing these lawsuits against businesses to make money. It's not a windfall. It's not a payday for them. They're doing it as advocates, really, in the wrong way, in my opinion, going after businesses this way. And what I'm trying to do, and my mission, is to educate businesses and make it well known across the board. Let's get the word out. Let's spread the word, help our fellow business owner, make them understand that the ADA is a law and it's something that you should have on your website this year, this month even. This is something that really needs to get done as soon as possible, so that way you can be covered if a lawsuit or a summons comes your way. But even more importantly, if you have web accessibility tools and you have the right things on your website, you'll probably be passed by some of these lawsuits, because they're going after the low-hanging fruit. They're doing web scans and finding websites that have no accessibility tools, nothing on them, and going after them. So if you have web accessibility and some of the things that we can do and help you with at ADA Comply Guy with our web accessibility toolbar, along with helping you make sure that your alternate text is attached to all your graphics, and closed captioning and some other things like that to help make sure that you have accessibility tools on your website, then you're going to be in much better shape and probably overpassed for some of these low-hanging fruit for these attorneys that are filing these web lawsuits on your website. So once they introduced this in Congress, it didn't pass. So, and why it didn't pass, and what it would have done, it would have adopted and codified the WCAG AA accessibility standard, which is the standard that the ADA goes by as its guideline from the W3C, where Tim Berners-Lee is the director of. It would create an accessibility standard for consumer-facing websites and mobile application. And the drafters of the act recognized that the perfect compliance is not really possible, and that compliance can be extremely costly and difficult to achieve, which we all know. In the past, if you were to get your website up to compliance, it would have cost you thousands of dollars, a lot of time to hire a web designer to do all this for you. And prior to this, prior to having web tool accessibility tools like we have and other things, this is the way it was. And today it's not as costly and as an expensive to get 100% compliant and stay 100% compliant. It's really a full-time job for somebody who is monitoring your website, because every little change you make to your website, if it's statically, changed to be conformative to the standards, you have to make sure that you update your accessibility. But with these these accessibility tools, they're dynamic. So if you make changes to your website, you're not really affecting any of the tools that are still on your website, because the users of your website, your visitors, are going to be able to utilize the tools to dynamically change what they want. Again, so if they want to change the color or contrast, they can do that. If they want to have the screen read to them, there's a screen reader in there. If they want to maximize or magnify the website, they can do that. So any changes that you make to your website or updates aren't affected by the tools that you have. And so that's what's so great about this kind of software. It's very dynamic and it flows with any changes that you make to your website. And you don't have to go back to your web designer and say, okay, we made all these changes, added all these pages, or updated things. Now we have to go and update all of the changes for the ADA compliance as well. You don't have to do that with dynamic software. So they recognize that, it can be costly and difficult to achieve full 100% compliance, which, again, our software service does not make you 100% compliant all the time. If you make changes, we still have to go back and make sure that your alt tags are updated, or if you add videos, we have to make sure that your closed captioning is updated on the new videos and things like that. So there are still some things to make sure that you keep up to date to be fully compliant. But the Act, it says, therefore, the Act provided that a website or mobile application should be considered accessible if it is in substantial compliance with the WCAG 2.0 or any subsequent update or revision of the WCAG guidelines. So any updates to the guidelines, if they add things, if you are in most compliant, with most of the things that are in there, they wanted to make the law very black and white, so that way it would stop all of these so-called lawsuits to, file lawsuits around the gray area and try to bring you to court. And if you're found not guilty, you're still liable for all the court costs and legal fees. And so that's what they wanted to stop. It says the Act also proposed a mandatory administrative process that the claimants would have had to complete before filing suit. So claimants would initiate the process by providing notice to an owner or operator of that website or mobile application and let them know that their site does not comply with the WCA 2.0 guidelines. And the owner or operator would then have 90 days to bring the website or application into compliance, and only then, if they failed to achieve the substantial compliance, would the claimant be entitled to file an administrative complaint with the Department of Justice and the ADA. And then the ADA would then have 180 days to complete an investigation, at which point it could initiate a civil enforcement action against the owner or operator of the website. And the DOJ, and if the DOJ chose not to pursue an enforcement action, the claimant could then file suit. So basically what it's saying is that right now there's no time. Like if you receive a letter from the ADA, the Department of Justice, you are going to court. You have to hire an attorney. You have to fight this and pay the court costs. And hopefully you're not found liable. But what this would do would be actually give requirements to the people who are filing these lawsuits to go through first, and then give the owner of the website a reasonable amount of time to get things in place before a claim is even filed in court. And this would cut down significantly on the number of lawsuits that are out there that are frivolous, and give businesses a chance to do something about it. But right now this did not pass in Congress, and so right now it's still anybody's game out there. It's very black. It's very gray area. It's not black and white. So anybody can still file a claim against any business out there, and then you have to go fight it because there is no final law precedent against websites yet. So because of this, this is what you need to do. You need to go out and you need to do something about it. Whether you utilize the ADA Comply Guy and our software and our services, or you do it some other way, and you find another way to make sure that your website is accessible and compliant. 2021 is the year that you need to go out and do this for your business, and spread the word. And you also need to let your fellow business owners know about this as well, because it isn't something that's going away. It's something that's going to gain more and more attention, especially this year. And hopefully they'll revisit this in Congress in the coming year. I'm not sure what is going on in Congress right now, but hopefully this is something that they will consider, and give business owners more time to understand what's going on, or promote it in a way that they have the ability to do something before they receive a letter and have to go to court. So but if you need help with this for your business, we would be happy to help you at ADA Comply Guy. Feel free to reach out to me at tony@adacomplyguy.com, or reach me in a Facebook DM. You can find me on Facebook as well. I'd be happy to set up a call with you and do a complimentary assessment of your website and show you what we can do for you moving forward. If you are a web agency or even an ad agency, would love to talk to you too about some strategies we have to help you help multiple clients all at once, and help them get the tax credit. I mean, the government even wants to give you money to be able to do this. There's a 50% tax credit available to all businesses that fall into certain guidelines, and most small to medium-sized businesses do. So, we can even help you get this free money, these tax credits that are available out there for you. So let us know what we can do to help. We're happy to help any way we can. There's lots of things we can do to help you make sure that this can get done for your business this year. Cost is no longer a hurdle. There's really no excuses out there to do it. It's quick. It's easy. We help you get it done, and very affordable, especially with a lot of the tax credits that, and even grants that we're working on for certain businesses to help them with getting this on their websites as well. So our mission is to make sure that we can help make the internet accessible to people of all abilities, and that's what we're out there to do. So I hope this was extremely informative for you tonight. I'm going to keep up to date on what's going on with the new laws and any updates and legislation that comes across, so that we can help all of you business owners out there. And if you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to shoot me an email, ask your questions. I'll be happy to do a follow-up live here on Accessibility Hacking Live to help you out, answer those questions for you, and anything I can do to help make the world and the internet more accessible to all people. That's what I'm here to do. So hope you guys have a great night, and we will see you again tomorrow. Take care.